Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. And, as I promised, we are going to be taking a look at putting together maps for your campaign world. And let me just start off by saying there are a lot of great resources online for helping do all of this. Incarnate and several others, which I'll post some links to down below, but there's just something about having physical copy in your hands that you can hold and show to your players. And doing that is actually relatively simple, and I find it to be quite a bit fun. And I've got a couple of tips, tricks, and ideas here for doing so. But to get started, of course, obviously you're going to need paper. You're going to need a pencil. You're going to want a pen, something with a fairly fine tip to it. You're also going to want an eraser to erase the lines, because we're going to be drawing out very light lines here. And while not strictly necessary, this, what is this? I believe from a French ruler. It basically just has a French curve ruler. This will help with certain designs. Like if you're drawing out your compass, or you're drawing out, you're marking out lines for where you want to put names for different things, different regions, mountain ranges, and the like. This can kind of help you with sketching some of that out. And it's a pretty handy tool, actually. Another thing that you can make use of, you want to use either rice, dried beans, or, since we're all gamers here, dice. Dice are really a very handy tool. Because what you'll do with them is you're going to use these to kind of get the general shape of the landmass that you're going for. Now, one thing that I did earlier, because, well, you don't want to just flesh out one single continent. You want to have your world drawn up. I did this earlier, used dice, and I used my number 2 pencil to sketch out the lines really quick. And then I went over it all with my pen, and it came out a little bit smoother to start with, but you can just use that as a general guide and start making some of these more jagged formations here and there. And you kind of want to make everything look like it used to go together at one point. And another thing to bear in mind when you're making a map, especially a hand-drawn map, no map, even if it's done with computers, mapped out with laser-guided everything, you're putting it on a 2D plane, it's never going to be 100% accurate. So you don't have to worry about this being 100% accurate. It's a hand-drawn map. Even the most skilled cartographer in the world is not going to get it 100% accurate. There's going to be some things that just don't fit. So don't worry about anything like 100%. So since we're going to start off with mountains and do a little bit of forest too, it's handy to take your pencil and kind of mark off the areas where the mountain ranges are going to be. And you just do it nice and light. You just kind of go on out here. And remember, like before, it doesn't have to be exact. And you can adjust as much as you want or need to. Now, one thing we need to keep in mind as we do this is that we want to leave space for marking off where different cities are at. And we need to do that in the mountain ranges here because this is where we're putting those dwarves. So, we don't want to completely fill it in yet, since we don't know 100% exactly what where we're putting everyone. And if we do it too soon, too fast, we can easily fill this up really, really quickly and leave ourselves in a tight spot. In fact, I probably did too much as it is, but mostly just marking off the borders out, that's more than enough. And we can write out the name of the mountain range and start marking off different locations where we're going to put the dwarves at. And we do the same thing down here for this mountain range as we mark things off for where we are putting our fire giants. Alright, so now we've got that marked off a little bit more, and you can see I kind of started throwing some mountains just outside of what my general guide was, because, like I said before, nature doesn't really flow in those kinds of lines. Things kind of spread out a bit more, and I'll probably do the same down in here at the peninsula, but again, I left myself room because I want to mark off where we have different cities, towns, ports, and the like, so it's good to try to leave yourself some room while getting some of your general guidelines down. But now we're going to move towards one of the most difficult parts for any map, and that's naming things. So for this mountain range, let's see here. Let's go with the Houseput mountain range. And like I said, it doesn't have to be 100% exact. It's hand-drawn, and so it'll kind of, any little errors that you have are going to give your map that little bit of character in feeling like they're hand-drawn. So don't be worried or afraid of making mistakes. And besides, we're drawing this lightly at first. There. The Hallsput Mountains. Alright, and then we just fill in our details from there. We have our forests. We know we're going to be putting the ogres right around in here, dwarves through here, hobgoblins here, and because we're going across the way, we're going to have our Warforged Empire all along through here, and then the fire giants down in here. Over here are going to be the orcs, but they're kind of off the map here from where we had started off originally. And this leaves us room for other different things, so we can mark off where we might have dragon caves or where griffins tend to frequent and the like. And we can start to chart and plan these different things out. Now, these forests, I would say, are probably not large enough for doing different high elven kingdoms and the like. We definitely want them in a much more forested region than this, but this still gives us a pretty good start of how we want to chart things out. And you can see this didn't really take me all that long to get this far. I mean, we can already see where some natural areas for different towns and ports would be, like this little bay right here, the end of the peninsula. We can already begin to plan things out somewhat, and marking it off would be easy enough. For any town that's going to be a major port, just draw. Remember, use pencil. Just get your rough sketches done first. But you can use to mark off where you want these things to be. And it's just quick, simple, and easy. Now, putting names down on things might be a little bit tricky at first, because sketching all that out and planning where you want everything to be can be difficult, but it's still doable. Like, we'll probably have a lake up in here and near the lake, because every society of mortal creatures is going to need some kind of fresh water source, and fresh water also allows them to produce supplies. We'll probably want to put the dwarven capital somewhere right about here in the middle of the Hallsput Mountains. And bear in mind, the dwarves might have a completely different... because this rough, crude sketch of a fort looks more something like human or ogre. It's not necessarily dwarven, but marking off roughly where we want it and what we want to do with it will be useful. And I went a little bit darker here than I should have, but I wanted to make sure that this showed up for you here. But yeah, overall, this is pretty simple, pretty quick, and pretty easy. And you can start marking off so many other things. You can have great sections for forests. You can draw big areas for all of that. And this might be the start of where the high elves live. Over here is this massive forested region. And remember, our guidelines are just that. They're just guidelines. You can adjust, erase, and move these around as much as you need to before you start putting ink down over everything. Just a quick, easy little design like that, just a crude house design to indicate, hey, somebody lives here, a group of people lives here. And that just does so much for you. This already looks so heavily populated, and all we've really done is drawn on a couple of anchors, put a fort there, and one little house right there. And this tells you so much and tells you how much more you can build. And this crisscrossing network of trade, even if they're not trading with each other, this coastline with all these different ports allows so much trade to conduct just internally for this one continent. Not to mention just all these other ports springing up here. So you can really begin to add in a lot of detail, but we've run into so much here that we're going to go ahead and stop it for now. But you can see, this has been, 20 minutes altogether, give or take. So 20 minutes, and this has already done so much. But we'll go, like I said, we'll call it here. We'll pick this up next time around. I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Remember, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there to hit the subscribe button and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. Or if you have already done that, then go on down to hit those like or dislike buttons and leave your comments and thoughts down below, and we'll catch you around next time. But for now, I've been your host. Thank you very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.